Welcome back to Slanted Chalk, where we dive deep into the journey of raising competitive junior athletes. I'm Andy, and today we're tackling a topic that hits close to home for a lot of us: pre-game affirmations. As dads, we all want to give our kids that extra boost of confidence before they take the field, court, or track. But here's the question: do the words we really say make a difference? Are we helping them stay calm and focused? Are we unintentionally adding pressure? Well, today I'm joined by dads and former athletes, all of whom know what it's like to stand on the sidelines and try to say just the right thing. We'll talk about what works, what doesn't, and whether affirmations can truly shape our kids' mindsets before they compete. Do you guys have a go to phrase or affirmation that you say to your child before a game or a match?
Well, I mean, for me, I have a 10 and a 7-year-old, so we're not at that stage where I go and tell them to go kill, step on necks. We're not there yet. But what I do tend to say a lot is play with joy, you know,
Okay.
have, the typical have fun. But I don't really have like a tradition or some sort of like a ritual yet. But it gets so busy and so hectic trying to, rally 10, 7-year-olds. But if we do have some time, we'll say some prayers, but I think it's all about playing with joy. I think that's our theme.
So you keep it spiritual. Do you pray before every game?
I wouldn't say every, like I said, it's just so hectic and so crazy. Just trying to leave the house is chaotic to begin with. But when we have the time, I try to say a little prayer for them. But again, just hey, have fun, keep it, play with joy, play with a lot of smile. Just trying to keep that positive theme, just to loosen them up.
When you talk about you're just trying to get out the house, you're scrambling, you're getting stuff into the car, you make sure, do you have your Gatorades, do you have your oranges? We're going. Does he feel that pressure?
Probably.
Does he see you? So
Probably.
would
Yeah.
it make sense to maybe take that deep breath? Let's do an affirmation to show, hey, I'm in control. You can be in control too.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy, for making me feel bad. But yeah, dude, 1000%. You know what's funny about that? I'm glad you said that. Because it is a reminder. The game, the tone starts from my garage, where I'm at, and it really does. And I try myself to like do my very best to set that tone, but it's really hard, and that's just something that I, as a dad, am trying to work on.
Wait, Tony, so what age do you start? Are you going to start telling him to step on necks and stuff?
Probably next year.
Dude.
Dude.
But there comes a point when I guess the part is trying to figure out the age where they literally start tuning you out no matter what you say,
Right.
right? Positive
Yeah,
or negative, right? So that's
Yeah.
like, so for you, like being younger, like with Kaylin when she was younger, like just telling that I enjoyed watching her play, right? Like that would do it for her, right? Stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? And then as she got older, it's like it's just because they start having that attitude, especially when they're in middle school. It's like they're like the adults already in middle school, right? They become a little a-hole age, and so from there they just tune everything out. But I can tell you what doesn't work. Say move your lazy ass does not work,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
So
right.
doing the other way
And
definitely
that
does not
adds
work.
pressure. It's funny.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that, Tony, is I used to say this to my kids a lot, and then I started thinking about it. I used to say, do the best, be the best. I would say that all the time, right? But then I thought about, you know what? Is that putting pressure on them by saying, hey, yes, I want you to go out there and do your best, try your best, but then I would say, be the best. Is that putting pressure if they're not the best out there? And so I started thinking about that. So I actually changed what I say right before every game. Colossians 3:23.
Oh, just the
Whatever
verse.
you do, work at it with all your heart, as if working for the Lord and not human masters. Right? Yeah, it's a little more spiritual, but to me, that spoke volumes. And so I say that to both my kids before pretty much anything they do.
You don't say Austin 316 kind of whip ass.
Hey, that's my boy, baby.
But I
Steve
want to
Austin.
hear John, because John has that age where you're supposed to be stepping on next
100%.
now. Yeah.
You know what? With Mason, he's 15. He's at that tough age. I don't try and add any. Just everything that has to be said is all done like at home. it's, on the ride there, and when we're there, I don't try to add any pressure. I just tell them, hey, work hard out there, and then I'll just lightly say, hey, make some plays if you get a chance. That's it. I don't try and make it too complicated. I don't. He doesn't need anything else in his head when he's up there.
The reason why I ask about affirmations, because to me, I think it's a positive thing. Try to set their mind, just like James said, I enjoy watching you play, but you could say different things. Ultimately, and that's what I like about it. Put in the work, now go have fun, trust yourself. I mean, to me, that makes all the sense in the world. No matter what happens, I'm proud of you. I get that too. Everybody talks about that. Compete hard, stay focused, stay in the moment. Everybody's talking about that. But now we try to do something just a little more different now. Like I said, because of where we're at, we get a little more spiritual. I basically say this. I say C323, and they know exactly what we mean.
Who would have thought Andy was, damn,
Spiritual.
burning. It would have been burning coming into church.
It's hot. It's warm.
Well, on that topic though, let me share something that my coworker does. So our last episode, Andy, you talked about that 24-hour rule, right? So basically, the notion is, do not talk to the coach of your kids after 24 hours. Basically, let everything settle and cool down first. So my coworker, he takes it to the next level with his own kids. Like, I'm not going to talk to my kids about that exact game or performance until 24 hours. And what he told me was kind of like interesting, because he's like, before that 24-hour even breaks, my kid actually talks to me about the game first.
Yeah.
So whatever that stuck out in his mind, he'll bring it up first, so my buddy Tim, he says, then I know that at least that was that meaningful to him. So now we can have a conversation. Rather than me bringing up certain aspects of the game or moments in the game, I keep bringing it up, and he might say, I don't even know what you're talking about. So you might be fuming, so that 24-hour rule does apply.
And I really like that, especially the fact that if you're bringing something up and they don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's almost to the point where, like, Dad, are you just watching one thing? Are you watching to correct me on something? Or are you watching the whole thing or the whole game, right? It's like, are you just going to remember everything bad? Because if they don't remember it, you know what? Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
What's up, John?
Hello.
Hey, John.
Sorry I'm so late.
Cheers, buddy.
Hey.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow.
I got to
Straight out of
blur
the
out
bottle.
the brand.
Yeah, you got to.
We're not getting paid by them yet.
Hopefully soon.
John, so what we're talking is about affirmations. Do you say anything before either one of your kids, before they step onto the field? Do you have any affirmations, either get a better mindset?
Yeah, I do. I do say stuff. I always say something, but it's not always the same. But what is always the same is I always just say, have fun, no matter what you do. Enjoy yourself out there. But I do say some, sometimes I tell them to be aggressive. Sometimes I remind them of one thing or another. But it's mostly like just have fun, enjoy it. Just remember to have fun.
What about, and this is interesting because when we were growing up playing, like James, when he played his best when somebody pissed him off. So I used to try to go, damn, how could we get James pissed off so that he can get to that next level? Do you see that in your kids at all? Do they play better at a different emotion? If so, have you ever tried to get him to that emotion?
That's a really good question. That's for the boys, because with daughters that's different. Because I like both my girls, if they're pissed off before they're playing, their game's done. If they're in a happy mood when they're playing, they play better. But when they're pissed off in the beginning, they're done. Like they're just non-functional, right? So I don't know if the same for boys, but like one of the stuff I heard from one of the coaches was like, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it's like for boys, they need to play good to feel good, or girls need to feel good to play good.
Okay. I
Interesting.
like that.
Or so I don't know if that's true for boys, but at least for girls, it's like they need to be feeling good prior to the game to actually have their head into the game. So
there was yeah, it's probably different at different ages too. I don't know, but there was a game where Isaac played really great, and he was completely focused. And him and I got into a fight before the game. I was
Oh.
fuming. I wouldn't let it go. Liz was like,
that's the Korean in you, man.
it doesn't happen often, but this one
That's
game,
really interesting.
we got into an argument. I don't even remember what it was about, and during warm-ups, I was telling Liz, I was like, he's just messing around on purpose. His head is out of the game. But literally, he had one of the best games I've ever seen him play. I think he maybe missed one free throw. Like, he went 9 of 10 on free throws. And it was against one of the toughest teams they faced. So I don't know if that was the one-time thing, but I feel like that time it worked out.
So, but this all depends on, like, I guess, the kid's trajectory with sports, right? Well, like with Liam and Mace, they're trying to take it to that next level, right? That's their goal.
So does that mean because they're younger, you don't want to give them affirmations, or
No,
you
no.
don't
I mean,
want to
giving
try to give
affirmation
them
makes
their
sense,
mind?
I don't know if he really cares. I don't think he
So-
really. I think he's when he gets into game mode. That's why he doesn't hear any of us yelling stuff. I don't yell anything, but I'm like, hey, do you hear the other dads yelling at you, yelling at the players and stuff? And he's like, no. And they're right
And that's
there,
a good thing.
15
No,
feet
that's
away.
a good thing.
That is
No,
a
but
100% good thing.
They
But
get-
exactly. So that's an affirmation. That's where if things are going wrong, you think about something else to get you back to that calmness.
right. I get that. I just don't know if anything that we say gets him there. I don't think that.
Younger, definitely yes. When they're younger, but as they get older, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but I'm not sure if it would help either. Like, if it really makes that much of a difference.
He-
I think it's literally case by case. It works for some
Yeah.
people, and it doesn't work for others.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence for both sides.
So if your kid came up to you and said, I want to be the best soccer player to ever live. I want to play professional. I want to be the best soccer player to ever live. What do you tell them?
Depends on if they have 2 left feet.
No, Tony, what do you tell Caden?
Well, it just depends. It depends on, is he showing that kind of potential that matches his vision, right? Like, it's great to dream, right? Like, it's one of those things where someone says, hey, I want to be a doctor. Oh, you can say that all you want, but is your path or your habits and your way of life, is that kind of showing that direction? If the direction is there, dude, I would light a fire under his butt to help them. You know what I mean? But like what James said, dude, I want to be a professional soccer player, but then you're going out there, eating Coke and eating pizza 24/7
Agreed.
and not even touching the ball. Like, that's stupid.
No, but I mean, so let's say Caden comes up, says, I want to be the greatest to ever play. Do you then go, okay, let's work at it. This is
Sure.
what you need to do. But so do you start that or be like, let's just have fun?
Probably that. Let's
Just have fun.
Yeah, let's have fun. Show me, prove to me that you want to be there.
Okay.
Right? I think that would be my direction.
Because I've always been the person that, and I've said this in interviews before too, if people aren't criticizing your dreams, you're not dreaming big enough.
Sure.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah. The thought that I want to share with you guys too. I'm sure you guys are thinking the same. It's funny that we're sitting here talking about, like, here we are. Like, I feel like we're all good parents. We're gonna do our very best to push them and push them and push them. I guess we're only gonna find out later in life because there's nothing that we could do enough, or nothing. We might have missed something. It's funny because, like, right, the kid might say, "Damn, Dad, you're too much," or then damn, Dad, you didn't do enough. I wish you were there a little bit more. So I don't know what that magic number is. I don't know what that, formula is.
I don't think any of our kids will ever be able to say, damn, Dad, you guys didn't do enough. I don't think that's...
I would have to agree with you, John.
Go around and slap every kid right now.
100%.
Across the board.
We all grew up with, I mean, even if we did a 100th of what, we're doing now, we did a lot more than what our parents did. So they have
100%. Yeah.
They deserve to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
So that's a good question then. Based on what you said, do we do what we do because we didn't have that growing up? Or do we do what we do because we see the potential in our kids to make them better?
Now you're talking about a whole Gen Z, Gen Y, millennial thing now. That's what they say, right? Like, because our generation was a neglected generation, so we're overcompensating with our own kids. It's like what the saying goes right now, right? And so that could be true. But I mean,
I'm
honestly,
asking
for me,
you. I'm asking the
no, but
parents.
honestly,
I'm asking
for me,
you guys.
honestly, for me, I think I would have probably played worse if my dad was around watching my games. I actually prefer that he wasn't there because it was less pressure on me. Right?
Yeah.
When my parent wasn't there, it was less pressure. Right? And so our kids probably have more pressure with us always being there to a certain point. After a while, they eventually learn how to tune you in. That's that. But to a certain point, I'm sure just because like when the kids are playing, whatever, whenever they make a mistake, they're looking for you in the stands. Right? It's just the pressure. Just your presence gives them that pressure. So as they get older, hopefully they don't care about that anymore. But up to a certain level, I mean, when you watch your kids when they're playing and they make a mistake or something happens, they go look for their parent, right, in the stands, see what their reaction is. Probably thinking about what's my car ride going to be home going to be like, right?
There's truth in that.
So for me, it's not that. It was just cool being around the kids. That's what it was for me.
What about you, Johnny?
Sorry, what was the question?
So do you think you do more now for your kids because you didn't have that growing up from your parents, or you see the potential and you want to make sure you want to try to give him everything he can to reach that potential?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think part of it is I didn't have that growing up. So I have the time to do it. I love being around my kids. I love working with them. And so why not? I'm going to, devote as much as I can to them. Do I think it's because of their potential? Part of it. And that's part of the conversations we've had. Like if they're just in it to have fun, then I don't really need to be out there working with them all the time. And going to games, I don't, I'll just enjoy it. Well, I enjoy it either way, but I tell them that all the time. Like, hey, but if you want to take it to the next level, then let's work. Let's work on it.
Right.
Let's I don't mind paying for lessons. I don't mind putting in the work with them as long as I'm not fighting them to do it. They've got to want it.
Agreed.
Right? So part of it is, yeah, I do see some potential, but I mean, I'm not like, I don't have these crazy aspirations for them of being D1 athletes and all this other stuff. Like, just, hey, play as long as you can. That's
so
all.
Why not have those crazy aspirations? It doesn't mean you're going to be disappointed if he doesn't get there. Why not have that? Why not set that stage?
I think part of it is, I guess it depends on the kid, depends on the sports and the sport that they're playing.
Are you protecting yourself or him from disappointment? Or would you rather just, hey, let's give it our all. If he doesn't get there, it's okay.
I think it's more of, like, let's say for Bryce in basketball, right? Let's say basketball. I mean, that is a very height dependent sport.
Agreed.
If you look at the percentage of kids that get out to D1 schools and above, and go pro, and count how many of the players are less than 6 feet tall? I mean, it's very slim.
Minimal.
Yeah, very minimal. So what do you do? You know, it's like if my kid's like 5'10", you know, I got to be a little realistic. He's at that age now. I'm not going to tell him that when he's 7 years old. Like, oh, dude, mom and dad, we're only 5'7", 5'8". No, you got zero chance. Like, I'm not going to say that at that age. But they're at the age. He's played in competitive, division where he sees like, oh man, it's getting tougher and tougher every season because he's facing these kids that are like 6'3", 6'4".
Holy shit.
It's very obvious, and you got, before it was like, okay, well, you can be a point guard. Great. But there's like a billion 5'10" and under point guards out there that, that's all they do. Just play basketball. That's why I just tell them, look, man, just the best thing that comes out of this is you learn how to play basketball at a very high level. Use it for networking later on. Use it to make friends off to college. Use it. There's so many things you can use that for, if you don't end up playing college. So I think it's very sport dependent, and I think it's also age dependent. It's a tough sport. You don't have the size, right? Baseball.
So do you have that conversation? So little tangent, little jump.
Mm-hmm.
For ones that have undersized athletes, and you see they're undersized right now, regardless of the potential, do you have that conversations?
Definitely. I definitely do. At this age, definitely do. At age, I would say anywhere from when you start seeing it at the competitive levels, when you're playing travel ball, playing AAU, whatever it is, you'll start seeing it. I think it's about 13, 14, definitely 15. When they're about that age, when you start
That's when you have the conversations.
yeah, you got to, especially if and it depends on if they're already working hard and stuff, right? It's like, hey, that, you see these other kids, you see their size, you've got to work harder. You've got to work harder if you want to get to that level. You want to get beyond that level. You can't just, you can't work like if you want to beat them out of positions or whatever it is. It's like you've got to put in the work and then some. You're already at a disadvantage. All they do is they look at size. And when you're undersized, you get no love unless you're a
You got to work twice as hard, huh?
It's very evident. So I would say, and not just it's a lot of any competitive level, very high level competition. You're going to see that, I think.
Yeah. And Andy, focus that question again. Reiterate that question again, because I have an undersized child.
Okay.
By a lot. So go ahead.
Understood, right? And to be fair, he still hasn't even hit his growth spurt, so we don't know. But as it stands right now, you have an undersized child. Do you bring it up and do you have that discussion about it? And what do you say?
Okay, good question. Because I'm dealing with so my son, in every class, he's the shortest kid.
Right.
In every team that he's been on, he's the shortest kid. And I remember when we played baseball, he was always given the jersey number 1. In the beginning, he used to be super excited. Poor little kid, like, cool, Dad, look, I'm number one again, right? And I'm like, dang, poor kid, you have the smallest jersey in the team. So I don't need to bring it up because now he brings it up. Mm-hmm. He's getting to the point where he's aware because his teammates, his opposition, makes it aware that you're the littlest guy, right? And I think now it's getting to the point where I never used to bring it up because I don't want him to feel like, man, am I a little different? I mean, he's 10 years old. He's not stupid. So now when that gets kind of brought up where he's kind of doubting himself or where he feels a little inadequate, the great thing about soccer, because we talk about like, it depends on sports, right? Like basketball, I mean, that's a whole different story.
Right.
But the kid is playing soccer where the greatest player in the world to ever lived is 5'7". 5'6", right? Maradona, 5'5". If the Iniestas, the greatest midfielders and all these players, where so I do remind him of that because I'm like, does he plays like a giant? He might be small in stature, but he plays like a giant, and that's all you got to do. So I think that's what gives him a great hope and to have like a hero like that. So that's the conversation that we have, but it's a common theme because he is the smallest kid out there.
And that's got to be a tough conversation. I
Dude.
mean, at the end of the day, in the back of your mind, it's heartbreaking. The fact that you have to have that conversation,
Right.
or the fact that you have to do that extra research and let's go find a hero for him. And then it doesn't matter that conversation when he steps on the field, steps on the pitch, his competition's going to let him know too. And then how do you guard from that?
Right. But again, the saving grace is he's 10 years old. You never know when that growth hits,
Right.
growth spurt hits. I was a small kid and I didn't grow until I was in high school. So you just never know with these things.
But it also gives him
Agreed.
character, though, right? Teaches him how to, because he's going to be dealing with those situations for the rest of his life. So teaches him how to deal with situations, right? So Tony's giving him guidance and stuff like that. But it'll teach him how to deal with just real life situations, right? Because that's going to get more and more as he gets older across the board. So it's good that you're having talks with him. That he's bringing it up. George, how did your dad talk to you about it? Because you weren't always the littlest guy on the field.
I was the big man on field. What are you talking about?
Like,
I was
same with
great.
Johnny. So, Johnny, you went through that, right? How was your conversations? I mean, honestly, that's got to be a tough conversation because the back of your mind, you feel for the kids, right?
It's tough. It's tough. Every sport he's played, ever since probably third grade on up, he's always been the smallest kid. I'll tell you what, his drive right now, he knows he can't do anything about his height. So you work on, and this is all I told him. I said, hey, I would say for the last few years, I would say, hey, can't do anything about your height, but you can do something about your speed and your strength. So those two things you work on, and your athleticism. Those are things that are in your control. Stop thinking about the things that are out of your control, right? Not going to help you. And so sure enough, it's, that's what he's working on now. He's working on strength, speed, not just now. I worked on that, but even more so now, because now the separation is even greater at this level.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's tough talk.
Yeah.
Because they know that there's other, I remind them, look at Mookie Betts, look at Altuve, look at these guys, right? They made it. But it's like, I don't want to put that kind of pressure on him. Hey, dude, just enjoy the game, play as long as you can, love the game. If you don't love the game, it's okay. It's okay to stop when you're ready to stop playing. But if you really, truly love the game, you can't exercise playing. You got to work extra hard. You got to work on the things that are in your control. And that's it.
What advice would you give to Tony?
Pretty much the same thing. Like those two things, just focus on the things that are in your control. And that's really tough to say to a 10-year-old. I think it gets a little bit easier maybe when they're like 12, 13, when they start understanding things a little bit more. But I would say work hard, have fun at that age. He's 10 years old,
Right.
How much pressure you want to put on a 10? Like a lot of us, I think I did that wrong. I think I added a lot of pressure.
So what would you have done differently?
At that point, at 10 years old, I would have been like, shoot, just have fun out there. Just, if you love it, you love it. Have fun. Like right now with Bright, he's 14 now. And probably up until last year, there was no way that I could have trained him the way I trained Mason. Absolutely. We tried that. That's why we went through like 4 different sports and it didn't work because a lot of that it was me. I was just too hard on him. And he's now like, after I stopped doing that and he picked up basketball, like he's just going with it. I'm just there for the ride now. Like I help him out when he wants help and I don't add that kind of pressure.
Is
But
that because the different personalities, they take advice a little differently?
I think
Like
everyone,
Mason's willing to be pushed, whereas Bryce is like, dude, back up. I got this.
for sure, definitely personalities. But at some point, when a kid decides this is my goal and this is what I'm willing to do to get there, now he's ready for me to be that way with him. So we have a lot more talks about expectations and things like that now. But the last 2 years, no, we didn't do any of that. It's just like, dude, just have fun, work your game, play as hard as you can out there. That's it.
I'll tell you, he loves the saying, "The bigger they are, the harder they fall." He loves
Yeah.
that
Oh,
saying.
dude, that's got to
Yeah,
be his motto, right?
yeah, he loves that saying. He thinks it's funny. It gives him a little boost of, like humor and energy. Because I do show him a lot of videos where little guys are stocky, right? Little guys can hold their ground a little bit better. So I tell him there are benefits for that. You're in a sport where certain heights are built for different things, right? You're not going to be able to do the things that 6'4" players can do, but you're going to be able to do a lot of great things that a shorter player can do.
Mhm.
But we don't even know the potential of your height yet. We don't even know what
That's
you're
right.
going to be.
That's right. But the
Yeah.
fact that you have to have this conversation means,
Right.
there's kids out there that are making fun of him. There's kids out there that are making comments about it. And these kids are smart. They hear that. And it affects them. So I think what you're doing is right on. And I think what Johnny said in terms of it's out of your control, right?
Yeah.
If it's out of your control, then let's not worry about it. But easier said than done for sure. And I think what you did, Johnny, was spot on. You made him understand that you're going to have to work twice as hard, and that's okay. It's only going to make you better for it.
Yep.
Right? Wow. What a great discussion today on the power of pregame affirmations. And a very big thank you to the dads on sharing your heartfelt perspective and challenges of raising an undersized athlete. As dads, we know that so much of our kids' success isn't just about physical ability, it's about mindset, resilience, and belief in themselves, whether it's reciting affirmations, visualizing success, or reinforcing that size doesn't define skill. Our role as parents is to equip them with mental edge they need to compete. To all the parents out there, keep supporting, keep believing, and keep reminding your young athlete that heart, skill, and determination will always outweigh the numbers on a measuring tape. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time for more real talk about raising competitive junior athletes. Until then, stay focused, stay driven, and always, you can't want it more.